Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
And just for the video,
Yeah.
what's your full name?
Robert, John, Diana.
Okay. And what's your birthday?
March 5, 1925.
And where did you grow up?
Buffalo, New York.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How long did you live up there?
Well, until I was 51 years old. Other than the years I spent in the service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I transferred down here.
Transferred for your job or what?
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I was a supervisor for Western Electric.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of Western Electric.
Oh, yeah.
Used to be a manufacturing part of AT&T.
And
It doesn't exist anymore.
how long were you with them?
40 years total.
Retire with them?
Pardon?
Did you retire from
Yes, I
that
did.
job?
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you like it down here?
Well, I
It's
like
warmer.
it. I would not go back up north, let me put it that way. There's good parts up there in the summer and fall, it's
Yeah.
beautiful, but I couldn't take the winters anymore. Once you're down here, you would never go back up there. At least I would not.
And my dad was raised in Michigan,
Really?
and
Well, then you know his dad, or your dad would know.
he married an Alabama girl.
Yeah. Did he come down here?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. No, we've been, well, my wife's gone and the kids are here, not all of them, but my daughter's here and my son's here and another daughter's here, and then I still have one up in Buffalo and I have one in Florida.
Oh,
And my oldest daughter died about 12 years ago.
sorry.
So I guess this is where you call home.
Yeah.
No, no. So I've only been in this place for 11 months now.
Okay.
I sold my home and came there.
You like it?
Well,
Not quite home yet.
what's going on right now has put a big damper on the place because
Yeah, most of the time you've been here.
yeah. It was pretty damn nice because I still drive. I still have my car out there. And, every once in a while I get in it and take a little ride.
Sometimes you got to.
Well, it's great,
Yeah.
keep doctor's appointments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's nice to get out. A little bit of independence, and I don't have to depend on a hell of a lot of people to do all these things.
Yeah.
But living here right now is the same as living home. It restricts you, in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
As you can well see, you can't do a hell of a lot. And we can't have visitors, and other than short periods of time. So,
This is the first time I've been able to get into a
one of these places?
Yeah.
Yeah.
since 1st of March.
Yeah. So what else can I help you with?
Well, tell me a little bit about your service during the war. What
Well,
from the time you
when I went in, I went to Sampson Naval Base, or training camp. That was in the Finger Lakes. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I have,
Yeah,
or the
Yeah.
Finger Lakes, yeah.
yeah. It's in New York State. And caught it Cattaraugus, I believe it was near there. And after that, I went to Detroit for a little bit. It was training electrical because that's what I wanted to do, and that's what they had me do. So then I went aboard the USS Idaho as a technician of gyro compass.
Oh,
So I maintained and repaired the compasses. We had a myriad of compasses all over the ship, and the main compass down below.
and that's something I know nothing about.
Well, not people
That's
do.
interesting.
Yeah. But you got to understand, all your navigation, all your fire, gunfire, and everything else worked off the navigation system. And yeah, it was very interesting, to be quite honest with you. So, and then we were all over the Pacific. So, from all the way down to New Zealand, all the way up to Tokyo at the end.
What years did you go in?
43, January. And then I got out in 46. So
yeah, you did go all over.
well, I saw just about everything there was in the Pacific.
What's some of the most interesting things that you encountered out there?
Well, I don't know how the hell interesting they were, but I still remember the kamikazes.
You saw some?
Oh, God.
Any attacks on your ship?
Well, the ship's log, in fact, I was just reading it, mentioned that we had, in one 4-week period, we had 78 kamikaze attacks.
Whoa.
Yeah, figure that out. I mean, we were at battle stations where they got stations about all day long for most of the 4 weeks. That was up in the Marianas, around.
That's almost like 2 a day.
Yeah, it is 2 a
Average.
day. More than that, really.
Yeah.
Morning, morning and evenings, and usually in the afternoon sometime. But they just kept coming.
Yeah. Gosh.
It was a hectic time.
Tell
And,
me, what was the name of your ship again?
the Idaho.
What kind of?
It was a big old battleship, going way the hell back to, excuse me, 1917 when the keel was laid. But then it had been revived maybe 2 or 3 times until it got to be, pretty modern, really. But all the armor had been changed.
Yeah.
They had 20 millimeters, 40 millimeters, 5 dual 5s, and the 14-inch big cannons. We did a lot of things. A lot of things. Yeah.
I'll have to read up on the Idaho. And
Yeah, well, we were in a lot of them, all the way from the Gilbert Islands, the Marshalls, Kavieng, Palau, Iwo, Saipan, Tinian, Guam, and Okinawa. And we were in the Philippines when the Japs finally gave up. And I still remember that we sailed from the Philippines up to Tokyo Bay for the surrender as part of that big fleet that went up there. It was amazing.
oh, you were there for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
How about it?
It was a wonderful, wonderful day. So, yeah, we saw a lot of engagements.
Did they broadcast or something to other ships in the bay so you could hear what's going on? Or
No.
You're just
They did
made
not.
a presence.
No, but we did see, we were lucky in the position we were in the bay to see the ferry that they took the Japanese aboard.
Yeah.
Missouri, and it was, I can't tell you how many ships were in that bay, but just about every ship in the fleet was there, plus all the, the English and Australians and everybody else that was French. It was amazing. Thousands of planes.
Gosh.
Because nobody really knew what to expect when we got there, to be honest with you. So,
One gentleman I interviewed, I can't remember what ship he was on, but I remember he told us that they would ask a few people from each ship, or many ships, to be there on the Missouri at the signing, and just to kind of represent a
well,
larger...
that I can't tell you about, because I don't know, and nobody told us that.
Yeah. Well,
If
he
the-
was one
if-
of them.
Huh?
He was one of them asked to be there, and
What rank was he?
not a very high rank.
Well,
But you know what he said, and I don't know if it's true, but that he said they picked him because he was really tall, and they wanted to have a lot of tall
well,
crew members there to tower over the Japanese.
well, let me tell you this, okay? Aboard that ship that it took place on, there was about 2,200 people. Okay? A
Yeah.
ship's complement.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to tell me, or if he wants to tell me that they took 2 people from every ship that was in that bay, there would not be enough room on that ship, okay? And I heard nothing about that at all, so I'll leave it go at that.
Good enough.
No, nobody as far as I knew went anywhere.
What was your rank?
Electrician's mate.
Okay. Electrician's mate.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'm not the second class, but that in itself don't mean a hell of a lot. But
Okay.
I enjoyed that. And,
Do you remember many of the guys you served with?
oh yeah, you know. In fact, there were 8 of us that went through the whole thing from training camp on through the thing. And I remember the trip that we took from Buffalo. So a lot of them were from Pennsylvania, and the train came through Buffalo when we left Buffalo to go to San Francisco to get over to Hawaii, and we stayed together for the whole war.
So you guys
At
were
least
pretty
those
close.
that came back, and we were pretty close knit, you know, because we were all sort of localized and got along the same, you know.
Yeah.
But there were guys from all over the country, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 8 of us. And I did visit and keep in touch with a couple of them after the war, but gradually everybody sort of drifted away. Most of them are all dead now. In fact, I don't know of any that are still alive. So.
Did you ever have any reunions from your
Yeah,
ship?
they did. And the ship was put up in Norfolk, Virginia when we came back.
Yeah.
And put into mothballs. And then ultimately it was scrapped along with everything else because they were too old to do anything with. The reunions just died away. You know, they had them all over the country, and if you could get there, it was okay. And they had a few in the east, but that was good. I could get there, but I didn't want to take long trips. You know, they had a couple in San Francisco and places, you know, out west. And I didn't want to go.
Yeah.
So, but that all stopped too.
Well, that's why I do this. Kind of go around meeting as many veterans as I can, just to, to get the stories and share those, because a lot of people don't hear that.
Yeah, I imagine that most people that were in the active part of the war, you know, I can tell you a lot of stories. We had a lot of engagements, and we were in a lot of different places when it did happen, and a lot of it was not so great, you know. And, I don't know whatever a lot of these other guys told you, but you know, I don't like to recall a lot of it, to be quite honest with you. And, but you know, we did what the hell we had to do. It's as simple as that. And the odd part of it is, and I don't know if anybody else told you, but mostly we were all kids, for the Christ's sakes.
Oh yeah.
You know, and I think that in today's world, it would be awful hard to go through again, really. Because basically, none of us had been far away from home, and you got to go back to the 40s, you know. It was completely different than it is now.
Yeah, all this folks that I talked to, you grew up through the Depression.
I still remember it very vividly.
And
I remember when the banks failed.
you remember what?
When the banks failed.
Oh, yeah.
32. Yeah, I do. I remember Mother crying for months. I remember all of that.
It was, totally different.
Totally
kind of
different.
time.
And, we went in with a different mindset than kids today would have. I'll tell you that much. Because none of us really, we're still in our teens, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Out there killing people, they're killing us.
That's
It was different, but you grew up a hell of a lot faster, let me tell you. Yeah.
my goodness, yeah.
Know what the real world was like.
It's still hard for me to imagine, a 20-year-old bomber pilot,
And they were.
and
They were. Yeah.
I've met them, and it's,
I remember, deep down in the.
all you guys are 18, 19
it was
years
hard to
old.
take. A lot of times you were isolated down below, and everything was raging up above you. And
Oh, you'd be down below, and you could hear all the guns going. And
and the thing is, if you
I guess the whole ship
with the
shook.
kamikazes, when you heard the 20s go off, they were still when they heard the 5-inches go off, they were still far away. But then you heard the 40 millimeters, and they were a lot closer. When you heard the 20s, you knew you were right in the middle of everything. See?
Ooh, yeah.
You could always tell. And when you were down below, you said a few prayers, believe me, because most of the isolated places you were stuck in for a battle state, you couldn't get out of. You couldn't get out. So
That's right.
yeah, I still remember all of that. And you made peace with yourself, I guess. It was your job, and that's what the hell you did. So
That's what I hear everybody say is, I just did what I was trained to do,
absolutely.
and
And you did it without thinking. And if anybody told you that they weren't scared, they're full of crap. And, the funny part of it was I was never scared while I was doing all of this, but after it was over, temporarily, that's when you start thinking. Yeah. But you automatically, when you heard that gong go off, you did what the hell you had to do. And,
that goes back to lots of training, lots of drills, over and over, I'm sure.
well, it was a mindset that you went in with, you got that in training, and I guess the other thing is you didn't want to appear to be, a weakling or something like that, not do your job and let somebody else down. And because in my case, I was down there with the compass and hundreds of different damn satellite compasses and people yelling and calling for this and calling for that. You automatically did whatever the hell you had to do. You didn't have time to, but some guys did, and it was not nice. So, whatever. But we did what we had to do. We were kids. That's all I could. Best way I could describe it. Now, there were a lot of older guys, but basically, I say 80% of what the hell went on was young people that just got in the service one way or another.
Yeah.
They didn't receive a whole lot of training. Off they went. What you did learn, you learned aboard ship. At least in our case, we did. And but I saw the Pacific from top to bottom, and I wouldn't go back there today. We didn't get much chance to go ashore at all. And I only had one leave in 3 years, and
Wow.
Yeah. We got hit pretty bad up in the Marianas and had to go back to Seattle. There's a Navy yard. I can't think of the name of it, across the bay from Seattle. And we got fixed up, and then we went back, and
How long did it take to fix
a
it
month.
up?
A month. They worked from morning till night. They were like ants all over the ship, and repairing and changing artillery. You know, the guns wore
Yeah.
out.
Gosh.
And we went back to then we went back to Okinawa. Finished off Okinawa, and then we went up to down to the Philippines, and that's when the war was over. And then we went back up to the Tokyo, and that was a pleasurable trip.
Coming back.
Huh?
Coming back.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, coming back was not so great. We were overloaded with people returning to the States because they used every damn vessel that they could to return a lot of the guys, and
I guess so.
it was so damn crowded, and you know.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Huh?
I hadn't thought about that. You know.
Yeah, well, think about it. You know, there was thousands and thousands of guys all over the place. They were getting rid of people as fast as they could because there was no, you know, the war was over, and they had no reason to keep them. And they were returning everybody as fast as they can. And the ships that were up there served as, you know, transportation to get these guys back. Yeah, we had a lot of mixture of sailors and Marines and soldiers. And we all ended up in Norfolk, Virginia. Came through the canal. Yeah. So, yeah. So other than that, I can't tell you much more unless you got some questions.
Well, just briefly, after the war,
Yeah.
so you came back, or you went back to
Buffalo.
and when did you get married?
1948.
What was your wife's name?
Huh?
What was your wife's name?
Rosemary.
Okay.
She was an Irish girl from Pennsylvania who was up there in the nursing school. And a bunch of those old veterans. Well, we had a lot of beers, and we got sort of whatever the hell you might have called it one night, and I ended up in the ER where she had worked that night, and that's where I met her. And, so that was at 47.
So it's kind of nice that you got
But
whatever happened to put you in the ER.
that wasn't nice, but meeting her was nice.
Yeah.
So,
Something good came out of
yeah,
it.
something good out of it. 6 kids. And we were married almost 57 years.
Wow.
She just died 2005, so
Okay.
yeah,
Well, it sounds like you had a great family.
I do. Yeah, I do. Great kids, and proud of them all. So, yeah.
Well, tell you what, I want to get just a few pictures with this camera,
Okay.
and then our time will probably be about up.
All right.